Hello and welcome to What the Tech from Boast AI, where we talk with some of the brilliant minds behind new and exciting tech initiatives to learn what it takes to tackle technological uncertainty and eventually change the world. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome to the show Hamoon Ekhtiari, founder and CEO at FutureFit AI. At FutureFit, Hamoon's team uses over 350 million global talent profiles, live labor market data and projections, and proprietary algorithms to help workers navigate career transitions. Their team works with the Fortune 500 companies, governments, and workforce development organizations to provide an AI-powered tool that acts as a GPS to guide workers on their next step, from reskilling to job placement. Ultimately, they're using AI to support reskilling efforts and reimagine layoffs through outskilling, an awesome mission and one steeped in very cool tech. But FutureFit AI is just the latest chapter in Hamoon's personal mission to help others unlock opportunity through innovation. His career journey is taking him from founding director of a leadership academy at one of the world's largest urban innovation hubs to director of strategy and innovation for a $30 billion telecom and technology company. He's an active member of the Governor General's Canadian Leadership Conference, an ADR Fellow at the University of Cambridge, a recipient of the University of Waterloo's Alumni Achievement Medal, and a Canada Millennium Scholar, to name just a few of his accolades. I'm excited to pick his brain on his path through the startup and scale-up world in driving innovation and to share his insights with others across the tech community. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Hamoon.
Thanks so much, Paul. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So I know that I just tripped over my own words trying to give a good intro to you, but could you give me and the listeners a little bit of the background from your perspective, how you got into the community, what drives you day to day, and what brought you to be such a rock star in the startup space?
Appreciate it, Paul. In terms of quick bit of context and background, I think for me, a big part of my journey was defined being an immigrant kid, having moved from the other side of the world when I was in high school, not knowing English at the time and trying to navigate my own path. And then watching my parents, who were skilled immigrants, struggle to get access to work and opportunity was very much the visceral experience that defined much of what I did next. I spent several years across a few different industries and sectors, mostly focused around innovation and change, and ultimately came to see the opportunity to build something from the ground up and thought there was real meaningful opportunity to help solve a massive problem in this century, and that's around the future of work. And that's how FutureFit AI started about 4 years ago now.
That is so awesome. And I love too, this is actually the second interview in a row where I've spoken to a founder who is an immigrant to Canada and is just trying to calculate a solution that will help immigrants really empower themselves to take off in their new home. I was speaking with Ilya Brodsky actually at Van Hack last night, and that's why this was top of mind. I'm sure his journey into the space is very different than yours was, but I'd love to know specifically what you're doing at FutureFit today that sets you apart from others in the space. I know there are a lot of software solutions for reskilling and for talent joining, but what makes FutureFit the one that's going to lead the change in the future?
Yeah, so Paul, as we think about the fundamental, when I think about the 21st century, we've got questions around life, and so those are things like climate change and health, and then you've got fundamental questions around livelihood, and that's what we think of work as. Work is fundamentally about dignity. It's about who we are. It's more than just a job. It's about our pride, about our identity, about who we want to become and the people we love and how we want to support them. And in a world that constantly is going through disruption, so is work, and so are jobs and the skills that are required to do them. Traditionally, we've had systems in place that help manage people in place. What I mean by that is we have higher education systems for when people are in higher education, K to 12 systems for when they're in K to 12. And the assumption of someone joins a company and stays there for a few decades until they retire, that's no longer the reality of work and the reality of our career journeys. We don't fundamentally have systems, technological or otherwise, to support people in transition, whether those are transitions because of life experiences they've gone through, because of disruptions to the job market, because of change in preferences and skills or requirements. We fundamentally do not have intelligent infrastructure to help people rapidly navigate career transitions. And then when you think about, to your point, there are many software solutions out on the market. There are many software solutions that help companies manage employees on the inside in the jobs they're in. There are many solutions that help higher education institutions manage students. We don't fundamentally have workforce development technology that's focused on helping people navigate the in-betweens. So what if I am done higher education, but I'm not in a job? What if I went through higher education, but it's not at all what I really wanted to do? I went through it because I was told to. What if I'm in a job and it gets automated and now I have to find what's next? What if I've been unemployed because of some of the barriers I faced in the past and now want a net new opportunity into the job market? And so we think of that as workforce development. It's a fundamentally unique problem and requires a fundamentally different approach to how technology is built to solve it. Our work at FutureFit AI is squarely focused on building one of the best technology companies focused on workforce development in the world, and that's where we've spent the majority of our time and effort, uniquely around that problem domain, focusing on data that's most contextual to that space, and then working with partners from governments to employers to workforce development organizations and agencies to solve that in context on the ground in a way that's relevant to those who use it.
You brought up a few things, Hamoon, that immediately spoke to me. First off, when you were talking about the disruptions, I think a lot of folks, especially in my marketing world, are feeling that acutely today. The AI of it all cannot be ignored. I'm a writer by trade. I went to journalism school. As we see here, I am not writing in a journalism capacity today. And a lot of the tools that I was using even 3 or 4 years ago, I'm reskilling in my job on the go. And that is everybody in my network. So even just from my own personal perch, I totally hear what you're saying in terms of just we need to think about that white space between academia and between when you're in your job and what you're going to do there. Because so many people in my network have been laid off, and there isn't that role anymore for them to go to at a different company. Again, the AI of it all keeps on coming into my ear because I think we're all fearing the day where we're going to end up just being LLM input engineers or something along those lines. But finding what you want to do and retaining that dignity that you talked about and making sure that it's something that you actually want to wake up and act on every day is so important, because we're beyond having to just clock in and clock out at this rate, and we shouldn't have to do that. So just wanted to say how much that really spoke to me personally. But I also love too, as a business for FutureFit AI, you had said that you are squarely focused on addressing that, again, white space, for lack of a better word, that in between time outside of academia or outside of those job resources and software that people use internally to help people. We frequently talk to founders who take the broadest possible route in finding a solution. They start by casting a wide net and then finding the customers from there that have the acute needs and then customizing the solution after the fact. You guys are taking a very unique approach in that you see the core problem in an acute way and you're building the solution to really, really address it and tackle that technological uncertainty in the process. And last point I want to pull up too, you had mentioned that network and being able to, again, plug in to different members of the community. And what we mean by community, I'd love to discuss that for you too. What are some of the partners that you've worked with at FutureFit AI or even just outside of FutureFit AI to help get all these resources in place, to help get these talent profiles made, but even just to help support FutureFit AI in coming to market?
Yeah, and so Paul, as I think about that concept of network and community and the systems we need to build, I think of that on a few levels. We, as a workforce development technology company, we partner where the point of leverage and scale exists so that we can support as many people in their transitions as possible. That often looks like state governments who are thinking about how to support their citizens and members of their community to get connected to an easy way of the set of supports they need to find what's next and build a future fit workforce to grow their economy. So that looks like working with governments across Canada, but also with state governments all around the US, whether it's state of Connecticut, state of Michigan, state of Colorado, and they look to us to support their workforce development, economic development initiatives to do it effectively, efficiently, intelligently, and at scale. We also work with employers like RBC, who's very much focused on building the talent and skills necessary for the new economy in the country, not just for them alone, but also for the economy, because that obviously helps their business in the long term succeed. And that fundamentally is a lens a lot more employers need to take to think about not only is someone in a job today, but how am I building the kind of talent pipelines that I need to be able to succeed in the future. We then also work with community organizations to bring together wraparound supports and training programs for those who are going through transitions and make them available through the platform. And then for us as a company to be able to do our work effectively and succeed over time, we also need partners to do that at our best. And that looks like, for example, partnering with Bose to make sure as we invest in R&D, that we're able to make sure we accelerate and continue to do that work over time.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the Boast shout out. And I think that's some of the simpatico between FutureFit and Boast. Going back to that square focus, for instance, well, we go up against the big four accountants, but they're really just doing the broad-based bookkeeping. They're really just doing the general ledger stuff. They're doing the taxes from the top down, and Shred is just one area where they're checking boxes. We're squarely focused on getting that innovation funding, not the other tax stuff, helping companies that are doing really innovative R&D, who are driving unique innovation, who aren't just solving a business problem, but a technological uncertainty, or like at FutureFit AI, a really, really new arena of work. That's who we want to partner with. And that's why we actually have a unique solution. We're not casting that wide net. We're solving that acute problem, and it's working. And as a result, we're able to help all the partners in our community. To build on another point you made too, we're founders in our own right. We're bumping elbows with all the customers that we're working with. We're more or less a startup at our core. We're just older and we're doing this very well. But we have that same ethos and we want to see our community lift because A, we don't get paid if you guys aren't getting paid and if you're not making the money in the first place. We want these communities to do well because we're just invested in it. We love innovation. We are technologists. We love cool stuff. So yeah, there is that business case, but we also just love this stuff. So we love hearing that you guys are able to launch off because you're leveraging a lot of the support systems that we have today. But again, there needs to be more of them. I'd love to hear now what is in store for FutureFit on the short term. We've talked a little bit about how it's all coming together, but what's on your roadmap for maybe the next 6 months, year, and then long term, what would your ideal state be for FutureFit?
So maybe I'll start with a latter question, and very much our belief is this is a sector that needs and demands global leaders, and we think we can absolutely build a globally leading workforce development technology company from right here out to the world. And so we're excited for them. We'll continue to build towards that. Most immediately, what's been unlocked, and our belief is AI gets all kinds of rap in the market, but AI and technology are just tools. They're value neutral until we infuse values into them. And our belief is AI can be used for good, for impact, for helping people get to better opportunity rather than just taking it away from them. And that's what we're focused on using AI for. And over the last year or so, with the developments, especially around generative AI, we are actually, again, putting that to good use. So most recently, we've rolled out what's called Career Copilot. It's an AI career assistant. It's a conversational assistant available in 50 plus languages. It can interact with you, build a personalized plan for you, follow up with you. It remembers the conversations it's had with you, and just as a career system would, but at a scale, quality, and cost that we wouldn't otherwise in our human systems be able to achieve, allowing human guidance to focus on those who need it most. And so we're excited about that coming out and working with partners to bring it to life. And yeah, that'll be another next stage to the next chapter to our work at FutureFit. Yeah.
I love that. And I'm going to repeat something you said there. AI can be used for good. I know I instilled a little bit of doom and gloom when I was talking about how we're a little afraid of it here on the marketing side, but we're taking a very similar approach that you guys are taking at FutureFit here at Boast in our deployment of AI. We're not doing it for the sake of it. We're doing it because it helps us work harder, work stronger. It enhances the work we do so that we can scale and grow. It's not replacing anybody necessarily in our workflows. It's just really improving our ability to, again, hit that mission that we want and the mission that you guys want in terms of making that global change and instilling that global leadership. So I love it. I'd love to hear it too now for founders in our audience. It's a lot of folks who hear that doom and gloom headlines. They probably are in an echo chamber of hearing about, ooh, AI, bouncing back and forth between it being a game changer or something that's going to usurp their jobs down the line. But what would you tell to founders today, or even just some sage wisdom for founders trying to enter the market as maybe a step one for getting into the startup space? Like, what partners would they go for? Or maybe what should be their initial mission when building a solution?
I don't know about sage wisdom, but I'll share a couple of thoughts. I think first and foremost, and we since day one have been a problem first company. And I think you fundamentally build a very different company when you start with a real problem in the world that real people are facing, and work it and continue to work it over and over, than starting with the premise of, I just want to start up. I think you just fundamentally end up with different companies and different trajectories. And I believe the former is the one we want more entrepreneurs to take. The second is you can be successful yourself and you can have impact. That intersection is possible increasingly to find. We've got massive challenges in this world. So if you're going to put time and energy into it, put it into one that helps others and builds towards the kind of world we want to build in. The third piece is around there is no, whether I say it, whether you say it, or anyone says it, entrepreneurs hear about focus. There's nothing like having to live it. And so every time you think you're being focused, you're not being focused enough. I think is the reality of building a startup journey. And then I think finally, and especially in today's climate, but generally, I think in the long term, this will prove to be true regardless. It is much more valuable and in some ways much more difficult to build a $10 million business that's profitable than to build a $100 million valuation business that is not. And so in this next stage, in the next decade at least, or at least 3 to 5 years, as founders start to build companies, they have to think about the numbers adding up on both sides. Investors are going to look for that. They're going to want a path to that. And so understanding your numbers deeply and working to actually build unit economics and sustainability into your business is going to be important, as important, if not sometimes more important than pure perceived growth.
I absolutely love that you raised that point too, especially in this investment environment. We had SaaScan, Lauren Thibodeau was on the show recently. We published her episode last week, and she was just talking about too, investors are a lot more discerning today for all the obvious reasons than they have been in years past, but especially from maybe the heyday of 2020 when it seemed like it was very easy to get capital. Right now, a 12-month runway isn't going to cut it, for instance, at those companies that are sub 10 million revenue. You need to have 18 to 24 in your ideal state. And that's not even just SaaScan saying it. You need to really have your books in order, and you need to really be focused on communicating that you understand your runway and that you are maximizing it. Gonna say it again, but part and parcel with that is the innovation funding that Boast can help you get. Non-dilutive funding is fantastic, but shred tax credits, again, it's a recoup on the investment that you've already made into your innovation. And it demonstrates to your investors too that you are stretching their money further. So any money that you're throwing in, you need to show to them that you are being savvy with it, that you are taking advantage of the programs that are out there, and you are not leaving any free money on the table, let alone the money that you've already put into it. You deserve it. It's money you deserve. So get it back. So really love that you pulled up that point. And again, that's where we really want to help a lot of companies to get. Our sweet spot are those ones who are aiming for that 10 million spot and they want to just get to that place. And we really, really, really hope we can bring them into the fold and work with them to get there. But again, we know the struggles. You know the struggles too, Hamoon. And we can help you get there, but it takes a whole ecosystem. So again, beyond the shred tax credits, even FutureFit AI. I think that this is a solution that could be very helpful for a lot of folks listening here today. And I'm so glad that you were able to come on and tell us a bit about it, Hamoon.
Thanks so much for having me, Paul. It's been great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.